Hi. So Monday.com recently introduced a really cool automation block into the workflow builder, and it's called send HTTP request. And what you can do is you can essentially put in an API token, a method, a URL, some headers and some body, and you can go to an arbitrary URL and collect data from that and bring it back again. And this is really cool. And some things that you can do with this is then use AI to parse that data and then populate columns. But AI can be a little bit expensive while you're doing some of that parsing. So we've come up with a really neat trick to help this along. So if we look at our example here, we have a board and we've got a button here. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use the Monday.com API to read the name and populate it into this column here. It's a kind of contrived example, but this just helps you understand the first step. So if we have a look at our workflow, and these are only available for workflows, we can go into edit our workflow, and you can see I'm saying, when the button's clicked, send an HTTP request. And you can see that I've got the API token from my Monday.com. I'm posting to the GraphQL URL, and we're adding the authorization token here as a header. The body we're posting is JSON, and we're posting a query, and we're saying, essentially, query the item ID. So this is get items, get the IDs that are in this variable here. So we're taking the item ID from whichever row, whichever item we've pressed the button on. And we're saying, for this item, get the ID, the name, and details of the sub-items. We'll get back to that in a bit. So what this produces is a whole bunch of JSON, and we need to be able to parse that so that we can then change the column value. So we've got this JSON parser. And with the JSON parser, we're taking the result, the output of step 2, and we're reading the JSON. We're saying, I only want data.item0.name. So that gives you the name of the item back. And then I want to populate that into this name from API column. And we're saying we want the text result from the previous step. And then we're going to update that. And then we'll see what happens. We'll run it. So back over here, we click on get name from API, and we're now gone and got this name and populated it into here. So this is not overly extraordinary. However, the real power of this is that if we go back over here and have a look at our JSON parser, so it says JSON Arter expression. So what's a JSON Arter expression? Well, JSON Arter is a JSON query and transformation language. And if we have a look over here, it's really powerful. So you can see this is a big JSON lump, but you can see that it says, and this is an order, and this order has several products in it, and you can see prices and quantities. And the really clever thing about this is this particular expression, for each product, multiplied the price by the quantity, and then summed it, so you get a figure here. So this is really powerful way of extracting information out of JSON. So if we just go back over here, and think about this, what we can do is, we have an invoice here, invoicing example. We've got units and we've got unit prices, and these are number columns. So if we have a look in here, you can see the column ID of that one. We can copy that if we want to. But what I've decided to do here is multiply the units by the unit price and sum up all of these for all the sub-items. And that's really powerful. That's just one thing that you could do. So over here, we have a different workflow. We're sending exactly the same HTTP request, but you can see with the sub-item column values and the ID, the type, and the text. But this time with the JSON parser, we're doing something a bit more complicated. So we're getting data.items.subitems, and then we're saying for column IDs that match this ID and this ID, so multiply the two of them together, and then sum all of them up, and then we're also saying we want it round to 2 decimal places. So there's a lot of work going on there. And then we're saying we want to put that value in the sum of net totals from the API column. So now we can trigger this, and we can have a look at this, and we've added it all up, and now we get the net value, the net totals in here. So this is really powerful, and we can do it for any of the others as well. Yeah, so that's it. So this has been added to the Microsoft 365 integration from Monday.com. We thought about rolling it out as a separate app, but I'd like to think that Monday will put something similar to this into their core product at some point. So I'm not going to go through the rigmarole of releasing a separate app when I can just add it to an app that I already have. So yeah, give it a go, see what you think.